Hey loves, happy Tuesday. Oh, okay, I wanted to give you a hit. I wanted to give you a hit of something really good and how I use lavender. Today, we're talking about lavender, and it was funny. I was literally thinking I was getting changed earlier, and I was like, oh, I love lavender, like thinking all the ways I use it and use it for expression and then as I'm like going through my closet, I'm like sort of hot and like it's humid out, and I just pulled out my purple and I was like, duh, I had like lavender on the mind. So I want to talk to you about lavender today. Now, remember that it's funny. Most of you who are new customers, I did the same exact thing the first month that I got my first kit. I was just like, how do I get all of these oils immediately? Like at the cheapest rate, you know? And I remember thinking that. Like I remember getting my kit and being like, oh my gosh, I want more. And it's really once you realize that when you have them on hand, you can treat just about anything, mentally, physically, ailment, preventatively, you know what I mean? Unless it's like a major situation that you need like a specialist for. You can basically treat anything if you know what you're doing. So that's what I'm here to do today, is to teach you all the ways that I use lavender. And it's not for the reasons you may think. So I will touch on those too, though. So just a reminder for those of you who are just seeing the beginning of this, that lavender is 10% off this month. So that is why I talked about that. Like, how do I get these? It's because every single month, doTERRA gives you something for either 10 or 15% off. If it's a really expensive oil or like a combo, they might do 15% off. But this one's pretty cheap anyway, so it's 10. So first of all, I would encourage you guys, when you get a new oil, just to sit with the bottle. It's very strong. And so the first time that I smelled pure lavender, I was like, that's not lavender. But guess what? Our noses, our olfactory system, they are used to, many people, that synthetic, sweet, sticky, sweet lavender that you get in like closet sachets or like synthetic sprays that are mixed with all sorts of things. Like we had never smelled pure lavender before. So when I first smelled this, I was like, what? So many people think of it as like sweet, which it has a touch of sweetness, but like for me, it's more herbaceous. It's got way more like woody undertones to it. And it's floral, you know, it's definitely floral. But it's so deep. It's so much deeper than like that superficial sweet smell. You know what I mean? So some of the systems that it affects are the skin. That's a huge one I'm going to talk about. Cardiovascular. It affects, you know, our nervous system and our emotional balance. So it's really funny when I study these, like I've been using these for many years now, but sometimes I just sit down and study each one because I change, my emotional balance changes, the people in my life change, you know, new friends, like new situations. So I love going back and studying them with all my books that I have and imparting the wisdom to you. And what I'll do is just sit with the oil for a long time as I'm studying, and I'll just like smell it in and smell it in and smell it in. One time I did this with petitgrain, and I was going to do a live on petitgrain a couple years ago. And I was like sniffing this in and studying, and I drove somewhere and I almost like fell asleep. It was crazy. So you could probably do the same thing with lavender, but I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, the biggest thing that people think of lavender is calming, right? Which is true for most people. So like you can diffuse it alone. You can put like 5 drops in a diffuser, or you can add ylang or Roman chamomile to a diffuser, something like that. Okay. Ylang is like super, super sweet. It's a sedative. Roman chamomile is very calming as well. You have to start to experiment with the smells though, right? So for me, and I'll get into the smells and like how the emotional works with the smells in a second, but like for me, lavender is not my favorite thing to diffuse alone. Roman chamomile is not my favorite thing to diffuse alone. And together it'd be like, okay. But ylang is one of my favorite smells on the planet. So like I would probably do 2 drops of lavender, maybe 1 drop of Roman chamomile, and like 6 drops of ylang if I was going to need some real calming, right? That would probably like put me out. So Now I want to talk about skin. Okay. So skin, you can actually, like, when you get this for 10% off, you can get yourself, like a roller bottle. You can buy these on aromatools.com or Amazon and just have them on hand. Like I always have them on hand. And I would do something like, 10 drops of lavender, 10 to 30 drops of lavender. Okay. If I wanted it really diluted, it would only be like 10. 30 is pretty standard for like a 10 ml. So, and you can like put it around your eyes every day. You can put it, on any sunspots, you guys, like hugely important to like put it on your face or any sunspots after you're in the sun all day. I also would add things like frankincense and jasmine and neroli, and rose, like all those skin oils. But lavender is a huge one for like after the sun. Okay. But you can also do this. You can take like a drop of, lavender or 2 drops of lavender and like put it right on a burn, like a minor burn. Okay. Obviously if it's like this major burn, you have to go seek professional help, but minor burns like stove burns, sunburns, even if it's on your lips from the sun, curling iron, hair iron, things like that, or regular iron, you burn yourself, you want to put like a drop or 2 of lavender right on it. You can dilute it with fractionated coconut oil, but you want to actually put it right on it and then take a cold compress of washcloth and put it on for soothing. Okay. You don't want to put ice right on it. No. Lavender will soothe that like so quickly. Okay. So anxious thoughts. Okay. Does anyone have anxious thoughts here? Okay, so you can add like 3 to 5 drops to a diffuser and just try lavender. And I would encourage you to do that if you've never just done that before. See how it makes you feel. Now, I've said this before, that there's about 5% of the population who are hypersensitive. I'm one of them. And we have like adverse effects to things. So lavender for me, it's funny because I've been smelling it for a while now, makes me into a motor mouth. And that might be because it calms something in me, like it releases something in me. When I was like restudying the emotional effects, that actually makes a lot of sense. So, because it's the oil of communication, which I'll get into in a second. But for me, since lavender is not my favorite to smell alone, like I do love it, but I don't like it alone, I would add something like magnolia. Just for me, I can smell like, what else do I want to smell? This is a little bit more, what's the word I want to use? It's almost like herbaceous and soury smelling. That doesn't sell it, but for me, it has a slight herbaceous sour smell. And even though I love it, like I will put it all over me, I actually have to mix this. So it helps me cut the lavender for some reason, but I actually have to mix it with jasmine. I love jasmine so much. So I mix it with jasmine and magnolia, because magnolia is a super anti-anxious one. And jasmine for me, I won't get into the emotionals of it right now, but like jasmine is like probably my all-time favorite. I just put it here so I can smell it all day. It's probably my all-time favorite smell. Like it has been for about a year or more. I love it. I love it so much. And so for me, lavender, magnolia, and jasmine's a good idea. Okay, so you can also diffuse, like if I was just going to diffuse it and not wear it, I'd probably diffuse it with citrus also. Okay, so like different florals and citrus. Okay, so let's talk about skin wounds for 1 sec. So like keep going with the skin. Helichrysum we call, well, how can I be compliant with this? Helichrysum stops, let's just say this. If you were bleeding in your nose, like a minor scrape, something like that, helichrysum will help it. Okay. It's going to help it right away. So the other thing, if you had like a bigger thing, you're like, holy cow, I really need to stop this and like to make it like soothe and get some relief or whatever. You want to do the helichrysum and then like a drop of lavender, tea tree, use that for everything, and basil, and you put it in warm water, and then you would take like a compress washcloth and soak it, squeeze it, and wash the wound. Okay, amazing recipe for that. And then finally for sleep, okay, before you go to bed. Now, if you don't have a bath tub, you can do this in like a bowl, put it in like a foot soak. You want to do about a cup of Epsom salt. I kind of use, yeah, like a cup if I was in a full bath. Maybe like a quarter or half if I was just doing a foot soak. And what I do is I take a glass and I put the Epsom salt in it, and I take coconut oil, the fractionated, and go. Some people use milk, some kind of plant milk, oat milk, something like that, and do it because you have to have something besides the water to help mix the oil. You know what I mean? Because oil and water doesn't mix. So then you can add 10 drops of lavender. In a foot soak, you only need like 3 to 5. And for me, I would use personally something in addition like vetiver, which is a super rooty, root oil. I was actually showing someone this weekend vetiver, and he was like I didn't tell him where it came from, anything. He was like, smells like the earth. Like it smells like it comes from deep in the earth. And I was like, bingo. It's like amazing. So it really grounds your energy, So that's for Epsom salt. Epsom salt, all I use is Epsom salt for my son sometimes, even without, like lavender I will use, but even without oils, and he's like out. It's like magical. Okay, so I want to talk for the last like 2 minutes about the emotions of lavender. Now, before I forget to tell you this, just like super quick blend, lavender and cypress, okay? My friend made this for me when she knew I like needed some help with self-expression. It was a tiny little roller bottle, and I forget what we called it, like let it flow or something like that, but it meant like let your emotions and like voice and whatever flow. Because cypress is the oil of flow, like blood flow. I use it. I tell people and clients, like, rub it all over your legs if you have varicose veins. Rub it all over your legs if you have bad circulation. Rub it all over your feet and legs, if you have bulging veins. Like, and anytime you feel heavy in the legs, cypress, cypress, cypress. Balance also, I think, has cypress in it, and I love that for circulation as well. But for me, communication, flow, and cypress, I love that combination. So check that out. Okay, so this is a couple things I want to read to you about the flow of lavender. Okay, it helps in verbal expression. So it's calming to the mind. It calms insecurities that are felt when we risk our true thoughts and feelings. And guys, I have been working with this heavily over the last year. Nothing feels better. Nothing feels better than to express yourself fully. And if lavender is the thing that helps you do that, diffuse, 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 diffuse. Okay? It addresses a deep fear of being seen and heard. Who gives a blank? Really? Just like express yourself. And hopefully lavender will help you. So those who need lavender will typically hide within, block our own self-expression, holding back our innermost thoughts and feelings. So I want you to really feel this. Like if you guys are listening to me right now and going, holy, that's me. Like this, holding back our innermost thoughts is like really just, the expression that we typically have with people is not connected to our true soul. I was having this conversation with a group of other crossline leaders. I do every week, but I was doing this last week, and there was someone who was so sweet and so nice, and this is how I used to be, and I still am, but like I don't care anymore about making friends rather than like sharing my truth. You see what I'm saying? So, but she was still in that like, oh, I need to like appease everyone. And she had so many internal issues with like liver and like all these things that were like paining her. And people who knew her really well were saying like, oh, like, well, I know you and this is why you like hold things in, So lavender is an amazing one to diffuse and get in your olfactory system, which is connected to our limbic brain, to like get those feelings and emotions and memories out and express them, okay? So it supports in releasing tension and constriction, physically, yes, but also that stems from this withheld constriction, okay? This withheld expression, rather, which causes constriction, like a bottleneck of communication, which you don't want. I had one long ago, I was with this guy, and we had been together forever, and I wasn't feeling it. Like we needed to separate. And so I didn't know how to do that. And I developed plum pit chi, what the Chinese call plum pit chi. And it was a huge plum, just like in my throat. And my acupuncturist at the time was like, you have plum pit chi, you need to get something off your chest. We say off our chest, right? In the West, and the Chinese say plum pit chi. And I started crying immediately. I told her everything. She was like, that's the first time you've admitted it. Like, it totally helped. And I think like I did it that week. But anyway, it's the result, like this bottleneck of communication is the result of like worried and racing thoughts and anxiousness, and, it causes sleep disruption and stuff like that. So we need to get it off our chest. So some of our past experiences, this is totally true for me, I could tell you 8 million stories, have made us feel unsafe or fearful or expressing themselves because fear of rejection. So we need to get into a space where we feel. Okay, we feel all the things, journal about it, diffuse your lavender, diffuse it with, wild orange, which is the oil of abundance, diffuse it with Roman chamomile if you need to feel more calm. And so your voice is trapped, right? When you have this, your voice feels trapped, and you can feel it in your body. I have this book called Your Body Keeps the Score. Yes, it does. You can feel it, guys. What happens when you're sad? We cry. What happens when we get bad news? We feel like we're punched in the gut. Like, what happens when we're heartbroken? We do this. Like, all of our thoughts create physical beings, okay? So the oils, when we diffuse them, they have this high vibratory energy that changes the physicality, which helps us express, okay? So try this out. Unexpressed emotions are associated with feelings of not being lovable, of not being supported, not being heard, or being important. We don't want that. No bueno, okay? No. So go ahead and diffuse your lavender, 10% off this month. By the way, I just want to say, because this will go up on YouTube later probably, and it's like July 13th, 2021. So 2 more days. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is for the whole month. So you get lavender for the whole month. Terra Shield is what's $125 in 2 more days. You can get that for free, but not after that. But this is in the month of July 2021. It's the whole month, okay? And each month has its own 10% off or discounted oil. So lastly, it helps with emotional honesty. It insists that we speak our innermost thoughts and desires, okay? So as we learn to communicate all of this that's stuck inside, we are liberated from this like self-inflicted prison, I guess you could say, right? Because that's what it feels like sometimes. And so they have helped me tremendously. They literally scientifically raise your vibration, your energetic vibration. So when you are in a low vibe, you get more depressed easily, you get more like restricted, you don't want to do things. So oils help immensely, just like opening up all of that. So open and honest communication is really what gives us the potential to experience unconditional love, acceptance, peace of mind. Okay, so share your true self. I know this is like big for like an oil thing today, but I'm so passionate about it because of how much they've helped me, like not only just diffusing the oils themselves, but if you've gotten to the end of this video so far, it's just amazing. I always just have to like give this a plug. It's just amazing how much me being passionate about sharing oils, which changed my health, led me to an entrepreneurial life and career. And that entrepreneurial life and career is like the best self-development course you could ever possibly sign up for, which is funny because it makes you sign up for a lot of self-development courses and then teach them. So if anyone is relating and resonating to this whatsoever, I'm going to give you a challenge right now. So this book, Modern Essentials, which is where you just can literally learn everything. I want to give this away. This has been my book for this past year. I'm going to give it away for anyone who comes to me this month and says, you know what, Jenny, I shared lavender with someone, and so if you are a wholesale person, okay, if you either are a wholesale person and you share this gift this month and you teach lavender to somebody and then teach them how to get their own first starter kit like you did, I'm going to give your new person that book. But if you're someone who's been here for a while and you are not signed up yet and you want to, get lavender as part of your starter package, and again, sometimes it comes in many of the packages anyway, right? But if you want to get one that doesn't have it and add it for 10% off, I will give you that book. Okay, so that's my gift to you. The first person who does that, I'll give that book to. But yeah, if you have any questions about lavender, let me know. Experiment with it, grab it, diffuse it, just smell it from the bottle, put it on some of those compresses we talked about, and I hope it serves you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day. Bye-bye.